Welcome back to She Leads the Line, where we shine a spotlight on the women shaping the future of broadband, telecom, and digital infrastructure. I'm Abby Crawford, and today I am joined by someone whose leadership and perspective I've admired for a long time, Miss Rebecca Denman. Rebecca's career in infrastructure is impressive, but what makes her stand out is her ability to lead with both vision and heart. We're going to talk about her journey, the challenges she's faced, the wins she celebrated, and what she sees on the horizon for our industry. And yes, we'll keep it real, keep it fun, and maybe even laugh a little bit along the way. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here and I'm excited for our discussion today.
Me too. Okay, so I want to just start off strong, and I would love if you could share your story and what first drew you into this crazy world of infrastructure and telecom.
Absolutely. So, I actually came into this industry pretty much right out of college. So, I came in blind. I really had no idea what I was coming into. I had no idea what a bore rig was. I had no idea what a handhole was. So, it was quite a journey to get things started. However, I was fortunate enough to have a mentor be paired with me immediately right out the gate, and he took me under his wing, and he pretty much taught me most of what I know today. His name is Jerry, and he is still part of my family today because we spent so many years together. His passion for the work, his leadership, the way that he has treated people has just made a very lasting impression on me. He taught me not just about the business itself, but about pride, relationships, and the resilience that make this industry so special. So even when times were tough, his encouragement, along with the support of many others that I've met along the way, have pushed me to keep growing, really. And looking back now, 20 years later, I guess it's been, I never really imagined that I would be in the role that I truly am in today. I've been lucky enough to work for and alongside some pretty incredible people, some pretty incredible companies. And for that, I'm genuinely grateful for all of the relationships, the friendships that I've made along the way. So it's been a journey. It's been a fun journey. There is a lot of different obstacles and experiences that I've had that some probably should never be repeated, but they were all fun. Just a little bit on the crazy side at some time, but it's been a really fun journey to get here today.
I love that. So being a woman in the industry, you just mentioned there has been plenty of its own challenges and I'm sure triumphs. I would love to hear what's a challenge that you've faced that has taught you something valuable and has kind of helped shape you to where you are now.
So I think that probably one of the biggest challenges early on in my career is there was many times that I would go into meetings and I would really be the only female there.
Mhm.
So you couldn't make a big deal about it. You had to go in, you had to hold your head high, you had to stay strong and have confidence and work through it. And it's the industry has shifted so much that you don't see a lot of that anymore, which is really fantastic, but it did present a lot of challenges at first, and especially being in my early 20s and I was a lot younger, and you're surrounded by all of these construction men who have been in the industry for so long, and you feel out of place almost.
Yeah. I was talking last week with a lady named Cassidy. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's the CEO at SRT, but she
Mhm.
mentioned having imposter syndrome at the start of being the CEO. And I just thought that was such a great way to explain that feeling of you're in that position, but you maybe just feel a little bit out of place. And that can feel challenging and overwhelming.
Oh, definitely. And I think probably stating imposter syndrome is the best way really to explain it because you're second guessing everything. Should I
Yeah.
be here? Did I make the right decision? What am I doing? So it is a lot to take in.
Yeah. So, of course, there's challenges, but then there's also triumphs. With that, I would love to hear what is a win that you are especially proud of so far in your career?
So there's definitely a lot of them. I think that some of the main wins out there have is being able to have built some pretty spectacular teams throughout the few companies that I've worked at. Our teams have collaborated well together. We have found some great success. We've overcome a lot of challenges, and with that has allowed us to actually build a lot of business for the companies that we were with and actually tackle some big projects that no one thought we were capable of doing or getting. So those were definitely always wins on a daily basis. But another huge win that I think is not only for myself but for the industry is really just seeing how things have shifted and seeing all of the amazing women in this industry that have really paved the path with their leadership and showing us what the future holds and what we can take from it. And I think that in itself is a huge win for everyone, both male and female in the industry. I mean, it's really neat to walk into a room, at Fiber Broadband's Fiber Connect, when you go to the Women in Fiber luncheon, you look around the room and there's over 300 women in there and they're sold out and there's no more room. And now you see some men come in there because they're just so intrigued by what the discussion is and they want to support what's going on. I mean, I think that's a huge win for everyone and for the industry itself.
I love that, and I'm so glad you bring that up because this channel and having She Leads the Line is not to be exclusive. It's just to amplify women's voices. And a lot of women in these leadership roles have had, like yourself, you had a mentor that was a man. And their support means so much to us as well. It's not just about women, it's also about men supporting women supporting women. It's awesome, and I was talking to, Jill Keeney a few weeks ago, and she mentioned the way that men and women work together, how powerful that dynamic is, and I just really speaking to women like yourself, it just makes me feel so excited about the possibilities that there are for women in leadership roles.
I agree 100%, and I love that you brought Jill up. She's one of my favorite people in this industry. I've had the chance to get to know her over the last few years, and, if I were to take a top 5 of women leaders in this industry today, she's in the top 3 easily. So I love that you've chatted with her and brought her up. She's definitely one to follow and to strive to be like, for sure.
Yeah, she's a powerhouse. I loved talking to her. She was wonderful. I would love to switch gears a little bit and talk about the future. So there is so much happening
Mhm.
between AI, funding shifts, policy changes. I mean, it's craziness. What trends are you watching closely, and how do you think that they'll shape broadband and infrastructure in the next few years?
So I think a lot of these items are already shaping broadband. It's already been a little bit underway, and there's definitely more to come.
Mhm.
AI definitely being a big part of that.
Yeah,
And I feel like there's a lot of different viewpoints on AI, and there should be. There's a lot of ways that it can be implemented, both good and bad. Overall, I think that AI definitely has a place in this industry, and it's already shown that. It's
for sure.
definitely helped to improve efficiencies, and it's really an incredible tool for making us more proactive, more productive, and more data driven. However, I do think that we can't resort to having AI in this industry for everything. I mean, there has to still be
Mhm.
a very large human component for
For sure.
communication with our clients in the field. And, there's just some things that AI definitely can't replace. But on the flip side of it, as we progress forward with that technology, I think that we're definitely going to see it help improve a lot of the cost models as we're all trying to deploy these fiber networks and just find more efficient ways to do it that will at least save the dollars because we're definitely losing those dollars on the
Yeah.
funding side, at least where it is today, as you know. So with
Yeah.
that being said, it might be a good segue into the funding side, which I think is probably the biggest item out there right now on everyone's list of what's going to happen, and that lovely four-letter word BEAD. I was reading some articles this morning. There's a few people in the industry that I love to follow their posts on LinkedIn and their kind of daily or weekly updates about, what's new with BEAD and where we're at. And right now, we have 49 states that have their proposals complete, or their draft proposals, if we want to call them. So we're still waiting for the big one of California to be released. But, the overall dollar value right now, I think, is right around only 18 million, or excuse me, 18 billion
Mhm.
is really all that's being awarded out of the 42 billion. So what's going to happen with the rest of those dollars? Are they going to be allocated and for non-deployment funds for each state, or is the federal government just going to keep them? And I think that's, really what's of top of mind for everybody right now, because many of these providers have had to go back and make the decision of whether or not they're going to lower their costs again, and
Yeah.
there's really no room for that. And it's very sad because at the end of the day, this money, these funds are 100% to get fiber to the unserved and the underserved. So really, as a country, we're not doing ourselves justice to take those dollars away and try to find all these ways for a cost savings. And I don't think that it's fair and reasonable at all for any of these providers. I mean, we're at a pivotal time in our country right now where
Mhm.
costs are going up on a daily basis. We know labor costs are going to go through the roof. Material costs are going to go through the roof. We're already starting to see a large lead time and a material shortage. So once we turn the corner into 2026 and we actually start seeing these funds being dispersed, we're
Yeah.
probably going to have another scenario like we did 7 or 8 years ago with stimulus, where everybody hits the ground running and then comes to a halt
Yeah.
because we either don't have the crews to build the fiber or we don't have the fiber to place. So it's really a pivotal moment, I think, not only in our country, but for this industry. And at the end of the day, a lot of this falls back to our administration and how they want to move forward with this. And it's very interesting. We obviously all hope for the best, and I
Right.
think that we have definitely seen some good forward progress. And I think that BEAD will still move forward. It's just when,
Yeah.
there's a lot of companies that have been waiting for those dollars now for a couple of years, even on the vendor side, the engineering firms, the construction contractors,
Everyone
the
is.
material distributors. Absolutely. So there's
Yeah.
been a lot of jobs that have been let go, a lot of companies that
Mhm.
are struggling. So hopefully, as we get to the end of this year, we'll see some really, really forward progress that is very positive, and we'll
Yeah.
start seeing those funds being trickled out, and we'll start seeing all of these projects fully move forward.
100%. Yeah. I think we're all hoping that all of this hard work comes to fruition because there's just everyone that I've talked to has had their own struggles and their own everyone's just working so hard. So I'm so glad that you brought this up and we're just so transparent about it because I also think that a lot of people kind of tiptoe around talking about what's going on. And I just think that we're at a point where it's like, why?
Right.
And it's all out there. We all have this information. We know how much of a struggle it's been, so let's talk about it. So, I love that you're so transparent about what's going on. I appreciate that.
Oh, definitely. Well, it affects all of us. I mean,
Yeah.
even down to a provider standpoint, you have your
Mhm.
large MSOs, you have your tier ones, you have a mix of tier twos, tier threes, you have a tremendous amount of tribal nations that are all
Yeah.
receiving funding. So it's not just focused on one vertical or one market. I mean, it's really everybody. And at the end of the day, if we were to suffer with BEAD not moving forward, there
Mhm.
still has to be a solution to find the funds to place the fiber, which is the end all result. And even with a lot of these other funding programs that have already been in progress, I
Yeah.
mean, we're finally starting to see a lot of them move forward for those that were on hold, but there still is a lot of red tape out there on those projects. And, it's we need to find some efficiencies with what's going on with permitting and pole attachments and a lot of this environmental holdup. And it needs to allow us to move forward with these projects and get the fiber in place for the folks in our country.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think this next question is going to you might have already answered it in what you're talking about, but I'm gonna ask it. If you had a magic wand, what would be the first thing that you would fix or fast track right now in the industry?
Oh, that's a really good question. And especially to only choose one item.
I know, it's a tough one.
I think that if I were to choose one item, it would really be to remove all of the red tape and just let these projects move forward. And the rest of the items that I would want my magic wand for could be worked out. But that way, at least there's a lot to choose from and we can hit the ground running.
I like that. That was a good answer. You got a few things in one, so I'll take it. That's funny.
But next time I would like 3 wishes instead of 1.
Okay, I'll talk. That's so funny. I can make that happen for sure.
Perfect.
So you have paved the path that others can follow. What advice would you give to young women that are just entering this space, especially ones that
Oh.
might not have thought that they'd ever be in this industry?
Oh gosh, there's so many things I would like to say about that. Uh, First of all, kudos to any young woman who wants to enter this industry, and I would fully support it. This industry is so fun. It's so
Mm,
ever changing, and it's a family. You
yeah,
look around, and the majority of the people who have been in this industry for nearly their whole entire life, even though they retire, they don't go away. They still
right.
come back and work part-time or work as a consultant and, they're still involved in some capacity. So, I think that that speaks volumes in itself. You
Mhm.
know, it I think that any any young woman entering this industry, I would say, be strong, be passionate, show your determination, because you'll definitely find challenges, but with those challenges, you are definitely going to have incredible rewards that is going to come with it. With that being said, I really would say believe in yourself, lean into your strengths, and surround yourself with the people that lift you up and do the amazing things that you are meant to do and what you want to do. And at the end of the day, do not let other people's opinions affect you because
Mhm.
those do not matter. There will always be naysayers, there will always be negative people, but you need to tune that out and be you and do you, and you'll do great.
Love it. 100%. I would love to hear, Rebecca, which women in the industry that you look up to.
So there is definitely, as I mentioned before, a easy top 5 out there.
Mhm.
Jill being one of them. And, she's presented herself with such a good demeanor and has provided leadership for so many in this industry. You know, I've been to several events in Kansas that she has personally led, and just watching these organizations and these other providers really look at her for her leadership, I think is just unbelievable. In addition to her, you know, Heather Gold is someone that I've had the chance to get to know over, oh goodness, I don't know, the last probably 5 years. She just recently retired. I had the chance to work side by side with her over the last year and a half, and it's been wonderful. You know, she is definitely a woman in this industry who has paved the way. You know, she's been involved in a lot of regulatory and policy. She has worked through some of the most pivotal moments in this industry, being someone whose decisions really affected a lot of
Mhm.
people and changed the course of the industry. So she's someone that I highly look up to, and you know is still a dear friend of mine. I talk to her, you know, a couple times a week. She in her retirement that she didn't want to do. She's now very busy doing, you know, things like golf and
Love it.
wine paired dinners and everything else.
Good.
So she's enjoying herself as she should be, and she's helping to plan her daughter's wedding right now. So Heather is definitely, you know, up there as probably one of my other biggest mentors. There's of course Shirley Bloomfield. You know,
Love her.
she isn't she just fabulous?
Oh my
And
goodness.
and
Yes.
another one, it was so I was in the room at
Oh,
NTCA's
you
event,
were?
yes, in Vegas last month when she announced that she was going to step down. And, you know, a lot of people had posted about the room and just the reaction, and it to not be there, there's not a lot of words that could honestly explain it. I mean, it was literally jaw-dropping, and it was very emotional. You know, she
Yeah.
showed her vulnerability and her emotion, which I think was, you know, speaks a lot of volume about her and her character and her leadership. But you know, she's done so much in this industry, and it's going to be really sad to not have her on stage and helping move through some of these really crucial policy items. But she's definitely made her mark, and she deserves to enjoy retirement as well. Who else is out there? Lauren Sanders from Big Ben Telephone down in Texas. She's, you know, another fabulous leader that I've had the chance to know, and she's up there with the rest of them. And gosh, there's so many more, but those are a few that I would definitely say, you know, are my top five and four or five. And you know, they constantly do things to strive you to want to be to their level and have the accomplishments that they've had.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing those names. I think that it's so important to give these women that's what this is for. Like let them know that what they're doing is so impactful and has
Mhm.
really led the way. So that's so awesome. I want to pull back the curtain a little bit and I want to know something about your work that most people don't understand or that you wish that they appreciated more.
That's a hard one, because there's definitely a lot of aspects to it, but probably the one thing that stands out the most is being on the business development side.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that you live a fabulous life. You're
Mhm.
out wining and dining clients, you're going to events, you're traveling all over the place, and that is fabulous. There's no question about it. But I think what everybody doesn't realize or sometimes forgets is that that's only one small aspect
Mhm.
of this job. And we still, in this role, have to wake up the next morning along with everybody else and we have to do the behind the scenes work, which
Mhm.
never stops. It's working through the evenings, working through the weekends, working through holidays, and making sure that there's constant opportunity and revenue coming in to the companies, and it never really turns off. So it's very overwhelming at times, which comes with it, but there's a lot of challenges that also come with it that everyone doesn't really necessarily understand. And a lot of people that are road warriors, and as we've kind of talked about it, it's tough to manage your family. And you're on the road 5 days a week, 4 days a week, seven for some. And when you're not home, you're leaving your family there, or your pets, and not allowing yourself to really have a personal life. But it's a choice that you make to go into these roles. And I think most people are happy with that decision. But a lot of people who don't experience it don't always know that there is that side of it. So while we're having fun, there's also the side that may not actually be as fun.
Yeah, I hear you. I completely understand, and I'm glad that you were able to share that and let that be known that there's a lot more that goes into it than just what meets the eye. And I think that's part of the industry as a whole. I mean, there's so many parts of this industry that are invisible, and it's not actually invisible. It's there. It's very much there.
Absolutely.
I would love to hear, Rebecca. This is kind of like just a personal, my own little question for you that I'm curious. Is there anything that you think that the industry needs? Something to, I don't even want to elaborate on the question. Just, I want to see where your mind goes with that question.
Well, it's a great question. Um, I have to think about it for a moment. I I think top of mind would be that everyone has been running 150 miles an hour now for 2 to 3 years, and, there's event after event and meeting after meeting, and I think that 99% of this industry right now could use a small break. There's not time built in for the break, but I think that a long weekend, at least one day in the weekend to unplug and
Mhm.
just relax, allows everyone to come back fresh. And I think a lot of people should take a step back and consider doing that, because we're not done. We still have a long road ahead of us, and
Years.
this
Yeah.
is a marathon that we're still in the middle of. So we're far away from having it all be done, where a lot of people can say, finally, we're done, we accomplished this, and take a breather. So while we're in the middle of it, I think everyone really could use that, because it's very draining. You've
Mm.
seen it yourself, and it's no one likes to see people get into that burnt out mode. And I feel it's a look too often now that you see on a lot
Mhm.
of people's faces. And it's hard to tell people to turn it off. I
Yeah.
don't. When I'm on vacation, I still work.
Yeah.
And it's just you become
You care.
accustomed to it.
Yeah.
And absolutely, there's so many people that are passionate in this industry, and that's why it makes it such a wonderful industry to be in. So while I'm saying that, it's hard for myself and many others to actually say, "Oh, right, that's easy to do." So, it's food for thought.
Yeah, I think this industry, and I almost said it earlier when you were talking, but I just think this industry is full of givers. Everyone, it's all about connections and sharing, and I've never had a conversation with someone that's left me in this industry that's left me afterwards feeling like, like, that was weird, Like, I always feel good, I feel heard, I feel like we shared a very niche passion, and it feels good. So, I completely agree. I think that a part of why people get so burned out in this industry is because they just care so much.
Absolutely, well said. Totally agree with you.
Rebecca, before we close out, is there anything that you would like to say to our viewers? Any words of wisdom or anything? The floor is yours.
I really would just like to say, do you and be you and keep at it with everything that you do and do it great. We only have one life, so we might as well live it and live our best life while we're doing it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for sharing your story, your insights, your energy. You truly lead the line, and I know our listeners and myself are walking away inspired. So thank you so much.
Thank
And
you. I really appreciate it.
and to everyone tuning in, thank you for being a part of this conversation. Please follow Field Notes and She Leads the Line for more episodes featuring the women building the future of infrastructure. Until next time, stay curious, stay bold, and keep leading the line. Yay! Perfect. You crushed that, girl.